Now, first of all, the very first question is your what is a BI initially, or why we generally use BI, or what is the significance of a BI. So definitely whenever you want to analyze your information, you want to analyze your data, you want to analyze your procedures which are required to be analyzed, when you want to take quick decisions as well, and then you want to use the whole case, the whole processes, the whole implementation, right, in your business implementation. So definitely BI plays a very important role. So when the era of BI was started, it was started with the very first and important factor that was there, and you all, and we have already discussed about that, right? And we have started with the very first part we call about your integration part, where we actually focused on integrating or integration or performing the integration towards your data, or performing integration for your data, right, where we integrate data from different type of data sources, and then we start uh, storing the information to a respective location. So SSIS refers to SQL Server Integration Services. And then this is totally focused on the approach of, and I believe that you all remember that approach because you all are already following that. It is just known as your ETL, where E goes for extraction of the data. You are going to extract the data. Then you are going to transform the data. Transforming data is making whatever the conversion and the changes which are required. So we have transformed the data, and then we can load the data, right? We will be able to load the data. So we will be able to load the data, load the information, load the details in our destination. That destination is actually what we called as data warehouse. It is a data warehousing solution where we generally store the data. And this data warehouse is what it consists of: the historical information, historical data, consists of the historical data. And this data that we use is the historical data. They may be uh, quite big data. Sometimes they are quite big data, or you can say they are quite old data. You can say maybe 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years of data informations are initially be stored on a respective location. And this data warehouse also known as a repository, a location, a repository, right, where we will be able to store the information. So this was the first member of this BI family, which was very important to work with. Then we moved to the second member of this family, and the second member was
Analysis.
it was SSAS, that refers to SQL Server Analysis Services. Analysis Services, where we start analyzing the data. We start making start analyzing the data, right? Start retrieving the data, and we start monitoring the data, analyze the data on the basis of different pattern. So when you work with an analysis of the data, in the analysis of the data, we use two type of approaches there, and these two approach are known as your, the first one you all call them as an fact, and second one will be your dimension. Dimension. Now, what is a fact? Fact is any numeric column on which we can perform aggregation. So it contains aggregation. Now, when I say the word aggregation, so aggregation means like sum, max, min, sum, max, min, average, count. These all are some different type of aggregations which we will be able to perform in the fact tables. And dimension tables are actually collection of attributes. They are collection of attributes. Now, when I say the word attributes, so we have some very different examples for attributes. Like we have country name, we can have product name, then we can have, say, currency name. I'm just telling you some very thorough examples which are actually known as your attributes. Now, these patterns or these attributes gives us the opportunity to analyze all these data, to analyze all this information, to analyze the aggregation, to analyze the aggregated data. And when I say aggregated data, I am talking about like it consists of terms like sales amount. The next member of this family will be going to be your quantity, a numeric column, then unit price, total product cost or total cost. And these all are actually considered as your facts. Facts are those where we will be able to implement aggregation like max, min, average, count, and then percentage as well. Right? But now these two were mostly in a form of rows and column, either a two-dimensional approach or a three-dimensional approach. So here, if you will go for that, we have 2D information here, two-dimensional data, and here we generally work with your multi-dimensional approach. Multi-dimensional approach, right? But now it's time. Now, please understand one thing. The task of integration, the task of analysis is more over into the development task, and you require to be a proficient developer, like proficient developer if you want to work with your BI operations there, right? Or if you want to work with an integration and analysis services. But now, what about the end users? If end users, if I want to share some information with my end users, or if I want to share my information with stakeholders or any of these like personalities, so how we will be able to get connected with them? That's where we have actually have this new concept of this terminology, and that new concept that was actually added into the picture, we call it self service BI, self-service BI, where you are focusing on the self-service implementation of the data or self-service BI implementation of the data. So when I say the word self-service BI is all about it's an end user approach where an end user will be if they have any sort of data. If they have any sort of data, whether the data in a form of maybe in Excel or in a form of CSV or in a form of TXT, right, or any of these formats, these guys will be able to design and develop the like visualizations also. They will be able to present the visualizations also, and then they can also be able to take those respective decisions that requires to be taken. They will be able to take quick decisions as well, right? And then they provide the respective details as well. But the thing is that as an end user, how you will be able to present this resources? So you want to present this resources as an reports. Reports. So what are reports? Reports are initially the visual representation of your data resources, whether it is a two-dimensional data or it's a multi-dimensional data. Reports can actually help you to take informative decisions, take quick decisions, and then you will be able to take care of almost every particular approach we will be using right here. So moving toward this reports as well, and considering the end user approach, we actually get a solution there, and that solution is what we call a Power BI. So what is a Power BI? A Power BI is initially a tool which we generally use to design and develop the reports, or you can say dynamic reports, high-end reports, so that we will be able to like take informative, quick decisions as well. We will be able to take informative decisions which requires to be taken there. Okay. So considering this whole approach which we generally followed, that we started with this Power BI, and this Power BI is an end user tool. It's an end user tool. So you only need to install this, or it's an end user tool. And you know one thing, that if you know how to work with Excel, if you only know how to work with Excel, or maybe if you only know how to work with TXT files, CSV files, Power BI is best tool to present that data in a form of reports. Present that data in a form of reports as well. So when we want to present the data in a form of reports, or you can say as an high-end dynamic reports, we always go for Power BI. But before considering Power BI, can anyone name me those power tools which we use in Excel? Can anyone can tell me or help me with the power tools used in Excel? What are the power tools that are used in Excel? Anyone? Okay, let me start with a hint. We have Power Pivot, then we have Power
Query, Power Query,
Perfect Kona, Power Query. Sorry, Sarah. Yeah, it's Power Query and
Pivot,
Power Pivot, Power Query, Power View, and the last member of this family is Power Map. The last member of this family is Power Map. So Power Pivot was initially be used for designing the data models, like to design the data models, to design the data information, to construct the data for us. We generally use Power Pivot. If we want to make any modification, any changes, or any like modifications to them, or any updations are required, or any quality or cleaning or anything is required, we go with the Power Query, which gives us a query editor. And within this query editor, we will be able to type our queries, and then we can take quick decisions accordingly. Power View is also one of the member of this family. When I say the word Power View is basically where you are visualizing your resources by using different type of graphical operations. Like you can go with a bar chart, or map chart, sorry, bar chart, or you can say line chart, and then pie chart, and there are many other options are there. And then finally, we have a power map where we actually work with your geographical data resources, like latitudes, longitudes, and everything, right? So it consists of, we have latitudes, we have longitudes, and they generally represent your resources as in a form of a map actually. So these are the four different power tools are there which we generally use in Excel. But you know, Power BI is one single combination of all these four. A Power BI is initially a one single combination of all these four. It consists all these four features together, right? And it creates one single approach. We call them Power BI. So Power BI is an end user tool which is used to design, to develop, to model, to deploy to represent the resources so that we will be able to take quick informative decisions. That's what we generally have the concept behind your Power BI. The reason for learning BI is that we actually need to go with the core implementation. And see, the thing is that in your if you will go with the BI like an SSIS or integration resources or analysis services, there we will be able to make meaningful decisions. There we will be able to make meaningful decisions. We create meaningful data, right? Because creation or data creation is basically uh, a data creation basically follows the concept of reading data from different type of data sources. There is a possibility some changes needs to be done, some derived implementations needs to be done, some scheduling is required. So all these things we generally do by using these integration services or maybe the analysis services initially. And here we actually work with your relational data. Again, it's a relational data where you are creating relationships and everything. Okay, this is good for the development pointer or for the developers who actually more into the like data approaches as well. But here you are only going to create the data in a form of a, like if you are using a data warehousing solution, it's a 2D format. 2D format is your two-dimensional format where we are storing the data in a form of rows and columns. That's what we generally do when we start working with your integration resources. And here we follow the concept of extract, transform, and load data. Suppose if you have data in multiple formats and then you want to schedule the data capturing, you want to perform the data cleaning by using some derived, some transformation and everything. Okay, so you definitely require to know this, but it is only as per the company requirements because Power BI is an end user tool, but it's a reporting tool, and a report requires a data, and the data should not only be the quantitative data, it has to be the qualitative data. SSIS or maybe SSAS, they actually guarantees us the quality initially, but
Sorry.
then yeah,
My question is, don't we, are we not in a position to do data integration with Power BI?
here you are reading the data again, right? Integration and all, that's what I told you. These are basically the backend resources, the backend terminologies which works, right? Whatever you want to deal with in before presenting it to the clients. So definitely, like integration services or maybe analysis services, you require to learn. Again, I'm telling you that it's not mandatory for everybody because not everyone can be a developer. Not everyone can be an ETL developer. See, Power BI is reporting aspects. You might be not working on the reports all the time. You actually need to work on the main core data implementations or core data extractions or data transformations, designing and developing the data transformations and everything.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
we definitely required integration services on that. While Power BI is just for designing and develop the reports. If you want to develop the reports.